Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of self love, self care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. Today, we're going to answer the question: are you raising boys or are you raising men? I'm Lady Bounce.
Job.
All right, so you got a mindfulness minute to go with it because
I
you
do.
are the bomb like that.
you know.
No.
All right, so here we go. We have the power to shape and mold our children through our parenting approaches. It is for this reason that I urge all parents to make use of the following guidelines to avoid raising an entitled child at all costs. Teach your child patience and empathy. Empathy is one of the most vital skills you can teach your child. If a child is able to practice empathy, he will be able to respect and understand the opinions of others, which in turn will put his own needs and desires into better perspective. Due to the instant gratification afforded by technological advancements, many children fail to learn the virtues of patience. The best way to foster patience is to not give in to your child's demands, but instead to set limits and generate expectation. If, for example, you don't want your child to go to the mall alone with friends until she is 13, stick to your guns and make it something to look forward to. Do not be swayed by temper tantrums and empty threats, and remember that no one benefits from always getting what they want when they want it. My children know all about that.
Mine too.
Instill a respect for hard work. Schooling your children on the value of hard work is one of the biggest and longest lasting gifts you can bestow upon them. It is very unfortunate that many parents have become so centered on giving their children exactly what they want that they have completely lost sight of what their children actually need. With enough praise and encouragement, you may be able to evoke a healthy respect for hard work in your child from an early age. While there is an increasing belief that no child should be forced to work, it is important to be able to distinguish between household chores and child abuse. Wow, that's a leap. Okay. Equipping your child with valuable skills such as how to change a light bulb, fix a leaking pipe, sew on a button, mend a broken zipper, tend to a vegetable garden, and cook the basic meal can be of immense benefit, to them later on in life. Inspire responsibility. Irresponsible children tend to grow to be even more irresponsible as adults. Luckily, there are a number of simple ways through which you can empower your child to be more responsible throughout his entire life. As already mentioned, assign age-appropriate chores at home and offer suitable praise when they are completed to your standards. Give your child a voice, allowing him to make certain decisions that are appropriate for his age. Explain to your child that he is responsible for his own actions and that he will be held accountable for them at all times. Always try to incite commitment, encouraging active participation in extramural activities such as art classes, music lessons, sports, as well as age-appropriate community volunteer programs. One of the biggest concerns for parents is the uncertainty of what the future holds for our children. By empowering them to live responsible, wholesome lives from a young age, we give them the best chance at being successful, responsible, and most importantly, happy adults. The end.
All right, so this topic came about because I've been seeing some stuff in the news, but mainly it sparked a huge emotional response in me when I saw a post on Facebook. I'm gonna read this post. It is written by a single mother. She said, "I got sons, and my sons can come and go as they please, as long as I know where they at. I could give an F what anyone else thinks about that." So she had one comment and say, "Girl, yes, facts." So then she follows it up with this other comment, and this is what did it. She said, "My boys are straight up boys. They trying to get all the girls, but they won't bother their cousins. They got their back if anything." And then she says, "I could see if they was girls, but they not. And I'm not going to treat them like they are. So keep your daughter at home because I'm raising boys to men, and they going to do what boys to men do."
Okay, so
So you have sons. I
do.
have a son.
You do. And I can tell you that my sons have always been responsible about the hearts of women, because I made sure that they understood that was not something to play with. There's no, first of all, lie for what? There's no need to lie. You know what I'm saying? Second of all, pay attention to who you're around. Pay attention to the person that you're dealing with. Make sure you know who they are. And I used to always tell them, you meet your baby mama in high school and you meet your wife in college. Now, is that necessarily true? No, it's not. It's not necessarily true. However, it served its purpose.
Right, because it helps keep it in perspective that
It
the
does, it
person
helps
that you
keep it
meet in high school is not going to be the love of your life.
I have one son that he has plenty friends, but no one is misled. No one is under the impression that he's not single. You know what I'm saying? So there's no issue of that. I have another son that, he's a one woman type guy. Like he's not out there. Woman gonna have to come after him because he's not even out there like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's not because that's just him. That's just because he's an introvert like that. He's introverted like that. So he's not outgoing like that. So the woman that gets him is really going to get something special. And she's going to have to really see the specialness in him to appreciate it, because he's not that guy. He's not no spontaneous outgoing guy. Then my other son, the one I'm always talking about that I'm oh so proud of, fiance, you know what I'm saying, with 2 children. And he never was one to parade a bunch of women through the house or have a bunch of girls calling. He wasn't one, even when he was single. I didn't go over there and see just a bunch of different people all the time. You know what I mean? Did he do his thing? I'm sure he did, but he did it outside the house. He kept it away from the house. I have met a couple of people, but nobody ever came to my house acting crazy or talking crazy or doing anything crazy. And then when he decided that he wanted to be with that one woman, that's what he did. Everybody else was cut off. And he pursued that one woman and pursued a relationship with that one woman. When my children, when my boys were young, when they were children, I made sure I talked to them about sex. I don't know what their father is in their life. I don't know what he talked to them about. I know what I talked to them about. You know what I mean? I know that I told them about the type of guy I would like to have. And no, you as a woman, I can't teach my boys to be men. I can't teach them man things because I'm not a man. But from a woman's perspective, I can teach them how to be good men to a woman. I can teach them what a woman wants in a man, what a woman's looking for in a man, the things that she appreciates, the things that make a man in a woman's eyes. And if you're not teaching your child that, if the only thing you're teaching your boy is go out and get as much tail as you can, then you can't expect that he's going to do anything but create a whole bunch of what am I trying to say? Create a bunch of babies out of wedlock, create a bunch of single mothers, you know what I'm saying? Have a bunch of babies everywhere, 5 and 6 baby mamas. Why? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Right. Well, and recently in the news, Boosie has been on one hand very revered, and then on the other hand chastised because he paid some grown women to come and perform oral sex on his son and his nephews in his basement, like at a party. Like
who did that?
Party. Boosie, the rapper, the little trash rapper.
Oh, okay.
So he was in the news because he did an interview and he talked about it. And he's like, well, I'm raising these boys to be men, and if I'm gonna raise them to be men, I gotta teach them what men do. So at like 12 and 13, he had these grown women, come over to his house and perform.
And people, the thing that is so messed up about that is that people don't realize that that's child abuse.
Yes.
People don't realize that when you put a child through that, young man, young woman, whatever the case may be, but I'm going to speak more specifically towards our young boys, because for whatever reason, people seem to think that the only way to teach a boy to be a man is they teach him how much pussy he can get.
Yes.
If they teach him how much ass to smack and how many different chicks he can put a notch in his belt with, then somehow they equate that with being a man. And somehow the moral character of a man gets lost in there. There is a real challenge to not being that guy. There is a real challenge to being an upstanding guy that loves, cherishes, and understanding, is loyal to, and respects, and makes a family and a foundation with one woman.
Absolutely.
And creates a bond with one woman. You know, it's not a manhood thing. It's not a passing into manhood to just lay pipe to a bunch of chicks. And then how much damage are you causing to these young children that really aren't even ready for what you're exposing them to? You blowing their mind. Like, they lucky if they even seen porn at this point.
Exactly.
And I understand that we are talking about children in the hood per se, you know what I'm saying? But that's even more of a reason to be mindful of why you shouldn't do those things, because they're in the hood, and because all those outside influences in the hood is what's going to turn them into exactly what you're giving them a front row seat to.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But one thing I've always wondered, and having a son and a daughter, having my son be older.
Turn your sound up a little bit, just a little bit.
Like that? Is that better? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
that's better.
Okay. So and having a son and a daughter, we talk to our children about sex on an age appropriate manner. So what I tell my son, being that now he's 20, is very different than what I'm telling my daughter at 16 in terms of how they should move and process, life through sex or sex through their lives. However, one thing that I will not give an excuse to is saying that having a bunch of sex is what makes you a man, and then telling my daughter, you better not think about sex.
Right.
Because that's what we tend to do, and then we tend to think of young girls as victims of sex abuse or sex.
Right.
Never ever think about boys being the victims in the same manner. So like you said, him having these grown women show up and do these things to these boys, that's sex abuse, and everybody needs to go to jail. It's not funny, it's not a joke, and boys are less mature, or they mature a little bit slower than girls.
Right.
You're exposing these little boys to these manly things before they've had a chance to really process and mature. How damaged are these boys going to be when they do become of age? And then it's trauma that they're walking around with is gonna spread, and then we're gonna have a trail of destruction, and not just in terms of the number of kids that they have running around, but just the destructive nature of how they're gonna raise those kids because they weren't given like the proper tools.
Right.
So, as we're talking about this, I got one more example of a trash parent. Because I was trying not to say it that way, but that's the only word that I can use. If you're doing these things and you're parenting your children this way as it relates to sex, it makes you a trash parent. Period. Sorry, I can't forgive it. But there's a woman in Cincinnati who threw a party for her 14-year-old son, and she paid strippers to come to the party and strip and dance and do all these things. It took a bunch of pictures, and these women are tatted up, and they're not the best looking strippers, but we're gonna leave that part alone. But his friends were at the party, and some of his friends were uncomfortable about what was going on, and so two of the friends went home and told their mothers. The mothers then contacted the authorities. This woman who threw the party and posted it on Facebook and was so proud of what she did for her son is now facing charges.
In jail.
Yeah, she's facing charges.
Yeah.
CPS has come and taken all 5 of her children out of the home, all because you wanted to show him what a man's supposed to be.
And she's completely clueless as to why.
Yeah, she's
You know
like,
what I'm saying?
all I did was throw him a party.
Right, completely clueless as to why what she's doing is wrong, and so are the men. The men are completely clueless as to why what they're doing is wrong when they do this to their sons, to their boys. You're damaging them. They're not going to be able to come to you with questions. They're not going to be able to come to you with concerns. They're not going to be able to come to you and say really anything to you, because now you've put this expectation of manhood on them, where, okay, I'm going to give you this experience, and after this, you should just know. You know what I mean? And it's not the same. So you don't teach the boy what to do. And this is why I believe this is part of another reason why so many of our men are inapt to deal with being in a real relationship with the woman and having true, genuine feelings. This is why so many of them are afraid of being in love with someone and trying love, because you haven't even dealt with that. Like, you started off just having sex. So you never made a connection. So when you finally do make a connection, you don't know what to do with that. You don't know how to feel about that, because you're so afraid. Everything that they do makes you feel some type of way, and you don't know what to do with that, because no man ever sat you down and told you anything. You feel like, oh, I'm being a sucker. This is what chicks go through. No, bro, it's what humans go through. It's what human beings go through when they have connections and when they have those feelings and when they get to know a person and they do know how a person is and they want to please them and they want to be a better person for them. You know what I'm saying? And people get it so twisted. You come together and you create something. You create a whole. Okay, and you're supposed to build one another. It's not supposed to be about who has more of this or that. It doesn't matter. It's not supposed to be about who can do what. It doesn't matter. Whatever I have, if what you have adds to me, and if what I have adds to you, and that doesn't necessarily have to be your financial bank. That can be your moral bank. Exactly. If I can help build your character as a person, as a human being, and we can grow and become something more and evolve, that's what it's about. That's what it's supposed to be. But these children are going through this at this age, and they're never exposed to that side of what it is to be grown.
Right. And thinking in terms of relationship, if you look at, in places of poverty and people of color in poverty, is the cycle of poverty. Not poverty necessarily for money or lack of money, but lack of thinking, lack of logical thinking. And if you, as a single mother, know how hard it is to be a single mother, you know how hard you struggle, you know how hard on those many nights when you cried and you just wanted love, or you just wanted some help at the end of the week when you worked 85 hours and it's just you. So you know what that feels like. So why would you raise your sons to create another you? Right, to be what you didn't want.
Right.
Wanted a man to be there, and there was no man there. And then sons to do it.
And then let's even go to the situation like what Lil Boosie is talking about. How many kids does that man have? You know what I'm saying? How many different women do you have these children with? So they don't even realize that the cycle continues. When you keep doing these things, you are perpetuating the cycle of destruction that is within our community. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that people don't stop to think about the damage that has been done to them, that they are in turn inflicting upon their own children, their own, their own flesh and blood.
Wow. So I just looked it up. He has 8 children, but 6 are biologically his. His best friend died, and he adopted his best friend's 2 kids. So basically, he has 8 children that he is responsible for raising, which is crazy because some of them
that don't have to be the only thing that would be crazy about that is if they're all by 6 different people. Have as many children as you want, but have it with one person.
Right. I mean, I guess I just say that it's crazy because not only does he have all of these children, but some of them are daughters. So these things that you perpetuate onto your sons, there's no way that you would let your daughters even think about it.
And
we don't teach our boys about the soul ties that come with having sex, but we teach our girls that.
Yeah, and see, and that's the thing. Like it's wrong to treat your boys one way and treat your daughter another. I have always told all my children the same thing. You are gold. What you have down there, be you boy or girl, it is special. It's gold. It's special. You should treat it special, and you should be with someone that treats it special. You know what I'm saying? You don't just go out and just give yourself away to anybody because there's too much going on out here, and you just can't do that. Then you mess around and you get yourself entangled with somebody. Say you get somebody pregnant, and then you're dealing with that person for 18 years or whatever, and you really don't even know the type of person you really dealing with, because far more often than not, we really don't take the time to get to know the people we claim to love.
Right.
We feel like, oh, they make me feel this way. They make me feel that way. I care about them. I love them. But what do you really know about them? What do you really know? Like, for real, what do you really know? You know what they say. And then half the time, the things that they say don't equate to the things that they do.
Right. So it's like
you're
not dating them, you're dating their representative.
Exactly. And you don't really know who you love it. And I used to, hey, all you got for real is your word. You got to stand by it. You got to somebody got to be able to trust that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And I always told my daughter, don't listen to what a man say, watch how he move.
Right.
If what he doing don't add up to what he's saying, then you need to move on.
See? Facts. So I just looked it up. He has 8 children, so that's including 2 he adopted, by 6 different women. So each one of his kids is by a different woman.
Right.
Like, so you're leaving a trail of destruction, and you're cultivating the destruction in your boys by doing the things that you're doing.
Exactly. And we don't even see it. It's been so ingrained in us as such a part of this is just life. We don't realize that it's not. That's not how life is supposed to be. It don't have to be that way. You understand? That's not what it is.
You know, I teach high school, and so they're, dealing with hormones and sex stress and sex pressures and stuff like that. And so they do come and talk to me, and I give them that auntie advice, and I tell them all, and it sounds really mean, but I tell them all, you got your whole life to have mediocre sex. Slow down. There are no fireworks. There is not no angel singer from the heaven when it happens. So you do better finding somebody that's going to take care of your heart, and it's going to be a good partner for you. And if they have good sex, with it, then that's great. But don't go in search of that, because if you go in search of that, you're gonna be disappointed.
That's the same thing I used to tell my boys all the time. Like, having a bunch of sex partners doesn't make you a man.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You accidentally slipping up and get somebody pregnant over that don't make you having a bunch of kids. No. Mm-hmm. And I will always tell them, look at the life that you are leading right now at this point. Don't you wish your father was with you? Don't you wish he was in the same house with you? Don't you wish you could see him, talk to him every day? Isn't it annoying that you have to call him? Or, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then there was things that I was going through with him, and I was saying to them, this is not what you want for your own children.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We want you to be better. I want you to be better. I want to give you better and give you more than what I was given. And the best thing I can do for you is give you advice on the things you shouldn't do, because I did them. Right. And that's where I am. So I'm going to tell you to do the thing I didn't do, because if I would have listened to somebody, or if I would have just made a different decision, me and your life could have been a whole lot different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I used to tell them, don't be sitting around thinking that you telling the girl that you love them is gonna get you some. Don't play with nobody's heart. Don't play with no woman's heart like that.
Right.
Because you're gonna mess around, she gonna get her feelings involved, and you don't know, you gonna mess around and get a fatal attraction. She can come stalking your ass. You gonna mess around and looking. If you bring a baby up in here, don't think you gonna leave it with me and go play basketball. Nah, bro, you got to be changing diapers and making bottles. You gonna be doing all of that. We gonna get a paternity test and everything. No disrespect to the young woman, but we just gonna know what it is, so we know what it is, and that's just how that's gonna go. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But whatever you create, you gonna take care of. And best believe it, if you playing football, you won't. Your ass gonna be at McDonald's.
You know, as I always think in song, Common has a song, you know, and he talks about, you know, he was with a woman and had a lot of sex and, you know, ended in an abortion. But this line always sticks with me. He says, too many women can say that they're mothers, but not too many can say that they're wives. And that is powerful. No, nobody's saying you gotta go marry everybody you have a baby with, but maybe you shouldn't be having a bunch of babies if you ain't ready to stick in it.
Well, that's the thing. And look, don't marry everybody you have a baby with, but you shouldn't be having a baby with everybody though.
There's that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just ridiculous, you know? And then to just not be able to keep it in your pants, like, you don't realize how damaged you are to be out here and just making a bunch of babies out of wedlock and perpetuating the stereotype of the single Black female by your own actions and your own inability to take responsibility as a man and love that one woman and stick with that one woman and create that foundation that's going to create the family and the bond that you really want, need, and are looking for. Because that's what's missing in your life. Right. That's what's missing. Not having that father, not having that mother, not having that mother and father dynamic that you can see on a daily basis and function from and work off of and build your own around. You know what I'm saying? So my children didn't have that. So I made sure they knew what it was so that they could be like, hey, look, I will say this though, that their father had it and they saw it with their father. And I really do appreciate his wife because she's got a great family. And in her family, my children saw what it's supposed to be like, what it's supposed to be. So I don't too much, you know, me and they dad, but she cool. I like her.
She all right.
Yeah, okay. She good. She cool.
So as we wrap this up, our self-care assignment for this week, mothers, fathers, accept your humanity. You are allowed to stumble through this parenting thing. You are not allowed to be a trash parent.
I will say this. And I said this to my mother, because if you had any issues in your life, you know that they steal from your environment. Your environment are your parents, and that's probably your mama. There is no handbook that comes with this parenting thing. And you find yourself making the very same mistakes, walking the very same footsteps that your parents, whomever raised you, walk in. I find myself walking the same path that my mama has walked. You know what I'm saying? I find myself in some of the very same situations. And I had to recognize that there was things that I had to let go of so that I could move on and grow and evolve as a person to be a better person, be a better sister, be a better daughter, be a better friend, be a better mother.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. So with that, we're going to do a really short brain science this week. Raise your children to have emotional intelligence, and it can be as simple as helping them to be attuned to the feelings of the people that are around them. So as you are in tune and you stumble through this week, remember to love yourself, keep flying with us, catch us wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can always email us at flywithusla@gmail.com. Check us out on all social media. I'm Lady Bounce.
I'm Kryptonite, y'all.
And we out of here.
Bye.